Hello everyone, I'm Eric Sharp from Protofuse. Thanks for joining us. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with Ian Lawson. Ian is the founder and the product manager of an incredibly awesome site mapping tool called Slickplan. Now, I'm both a customer and a huge fan of his tool. I use it with my clients and just really appreciate what those guys do over there. Ian, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate the opportunity, and it's really great to meet you, Eric.
Yeah, you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it because we got about 7 or 8 questions to work through, and some of them are meaty, but I know you're the perfect guy to answer them. So
All right, sounds good.
Let's jump in. Number 1. So first, why don't you tell everyone how Slickplan got its start, how long you guys have been in business, and maybe a couple different milestones of the company.
Okay. Well, Slickplan was kind of an idea born. I had somewhat of a eureka moment back in 2009. I was kind of just perusing Reddit and came across a project called SlickMap, and it was an open source CSS framework for generating visual sitemaps. And what was really cool about it was I had that spark of idea. Because I, as well as many of my other colleagues, had a lot of experience in information architecture, but the actual visual part of displaying that to our customers and clients was always, built in Illustrator or PageMaker or InDesign or programs like that. And once I saw, hey, this can be done with just some simple HTML and some CSS styling, the idea of wrapping a web interface around that to expedite some of the kind of tedious chores that we were used to doing as a web consultancy for a lot of different clients kind of was born. And so we had this idea, and we kind of decided to take a crack at it during some unusual downtime at our studio. And so myself, my background is in design, project management, and user experience. So I had a little bit of open time myself, and so did one of the developers that was working at the consultancy that I used to work with, and we just sat down and we're like, let's try it. So we used the SlickMap CSS as the original framework to build the display, and we wrapped a very basic interface around it just to add, edit, delete stuff. And then we just kind of threw it up there. It wasn't anything that we thought was going to be huge, but we thought it was a cool idea, and that if we shared it, other people might be able to take advantage of it. So what we didn't realize was the overwhelming response that was to follow right after. So a couple, I think we put it on StumbleUpon, which I'm not sure how popular that is anymore, but in 2009 that was pretty hot software. So we put it on there, Twitter, and we made a little Facebook group, because back then they didn't even have Facebook pages. And we threw it up, and it went viral, got picked up by several tech bloggers and other sites like WebAppers and MakeUseOf.com. And before we knew it, about 3 or 4 months later, we had 40,000 users. Wow. Which was overwhelming our tiny little shared web server, crashing it all the time. And we kind of knew we had something big on our hands at that point. And so we sat back and, we kind of sat on it, gathered feedback, took down a lot of ideas, and then had to make a decision because, we were very busy with client work, and getting into building our own products was something that we hadn't really considered at that point. So in 2011, we kind of decided, we either got to ditch this thing because we can't support it, and it's quickly becoming, more of a problem than it is something great because we're just so busy, or do we just take the leap of faith and go for it and try to develop our first product? And we decided that we were going to go for it, and it was definitely a scary step because we knew how many resources and how much money it was going to cost to put it up, but just because of the response and people begging us to, have it do this and have it do that, we sat down and decided to make it an actual app. So it was myself, one dedicated developer, and a user experience designer, that put it together. and it took us about 10 months to build the first version of it. And we kind of hit the ground running. We launched in April of 2012, and we had customers since day one. And many of those customers, even that signed up within the first couple days, are still loyal customers. And since then, we've basically just been working on evolving the tool and kind of making it into what you see today.
That's great, man. I love that story, and I just want to say thanks for making the leap. I know how scary that is, but also very exciting. And as a user myself, using it with other clients, you guys, your tool is unparalleled, I think, in the industry. So I've used a couple of site mapping tools over the last decade with clients, and MindJet, a couple other free ones, but your cloud-based service and the speed of it, just absolutely love it. So thanks for making the leap. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Well, we did it for people like you and also ourselves. I mean, it was something that we needed. It was definitely a big gaping hole in our kind of production system. So we knew that if we created something that solved a problem for us, there was going to be other folks out there that had the same problem. So it worked out. It worked out nicely. And thank you for all the kind words. We've put a lot of effort into it, so I know the team will appreciate that.
Cool. All right. So onward we go. Number 2. What's the design philosophy when it comes to providing a product that really embodies your guys' mission statement, which, on your website, you guys say making website mapping easy for web designers, information architects, and project managers. How do you guys, that's kind of a lofty, right, mission statement, which most
Sure.
mission statements are supposed to be. And how do you guys stay true to that?
Well, I think it all starts with you definitely have to be open-minded about the customer's input and feedback, and you have to listen to everybody and try and read in between the lines. I mean, we get tons of support requests and feature requests all the time, and what we need to do is we need to really look at the requests that come in and try to understand the problem people are having versus just the solution that they are kind of entertaining or requesting to you. And once you see a pattern of similar requests or similar problems, it's a good place to sit back and discuss with the team and bring it up. And how do we solve this problem? What is the real issue? And how do we make the most elegant, simple solution that's going to solve the problem for the majority of the users? If it doesn't fit that criteria, then it gets cut. And that's not always an easy thing to do because, just naturally, especially coming from like an agency, consultancy background, you want to please every customer and make, sure everybody gets exactly what they want. But when you're trying to create a product that is built for the masses, I mean, we have, at latest count, almost 200,000 active users. So you can't go and create features for people just based on a few individuals' needs. You have to make sure that that feature is going to solve a problem for the majority of the users and also not clunk up the interface or turn into feature bloat, which is hard to rewind from.
Right. Yeah, I like that you guys approach it as what's the actual problem that they're asking, or that they're asking for us to solve, rather than focusing in on a specific detail. You guys really take a step back and say, hey, this is the problem. This is how we're going to address it based upon our mission statement. So that's great.
Thank you.
All right, so number 3. I tell my clients a lot as we dig into site mapping their websites that a sitemap is a critical deliverable of information architecture, and bad information architecture usually causes most user failures. So how does Slickplan, being a site mapping tool, help information architects do their job well?
Well, Slickplan is the whole idea of Slickplan was, kind of to go a little bit back to the first question. When we discovered the problem, we were in the situation that we were using software that wasn't intended to create visual sitemaps. Like I said, we were using products like Adobe Illustrator or InDesign, programs that are traditionally used for high-end graphic interfaces, page layout, stuff like that. So what we noticed was the problem was that we were creating the same thing over and over again and spending a lot of time doing menial tasks that should be automated. So Slickplan's focus at first was to solve two main issues. So the first was to automate the drawing aspect of creating a sitemap, which is basically a flowchart with a lot of connected pages and hierarchy. And what that happens is you're drawing a lot of boxes and page labels and a lot of lines that are connecting everything, and that's really a pretty simple drawing task. And you shouldn't be drawing a box every single time and copying, pasting it around. And then the other problem that we noticed was that we had I can't even remember a project that I got a sitemap or something right the very first time. Like, it's an iterative process, and the thing that we would find is that we had a lot of third-party commentary and also internal commentary. So once we'd get something knocked out for the first time, the team would take a look at it, make sure it was right, then we would share it with the client, and inevitably it just led to really long lead times of getting this thing done because of that problem with collaboration. Because typically, after we were done in something like Illustrator or InDesign, we'd have to export a PDF and then email it or post it up on our project management software. And then we'd have to wait and get feedback from the team and clients. And then we'd have to go back and make another version and export another PDF. And all those comments would get lost in the meantime, and tracking changes became very tedious. And so
you're making me relive some history here with some older clients and some nightmares that kept me up late at night.
So Slickplan's purpose was just to cut all that stuff out and really get to automating the task and to get to the part where people can understand the flow of a site quickly and also have something really beautiful to look at the same time. So we knew that most of our clients would be agencies and boutiques and corporate customers, so we had to have a really nice looking interface, but we also had to make all that stuff quick. So that's exactly what we did. And then it was really important for us to integrate with products like Basecamp for collaboration, being able to share it, and then also invite the customers or other people on the team to come in and collaborate on the same sitemap without having to do manual track changes and all of that stuff.
Gotcha. That's good. That's good. Thanks. So we've been talking very specifically about how Slickplan is used for website design and development, but this is a bit of an odd question. Do you find customers using Slickplan for things outside of maybe website planning, maybe in mind mapping or things similar to that?
In the very beginning, we did see some people using it for like org charts, and we've seen some wacky stuff too. Like, besides just like mind mapping and general stuff that you could use a typical flowchart outline for, we've had, I've seen things like TV programming put on. I can't say who it is, but some big cable channels you've heard of, and some large sports teams. We've seen people organize that with some pro sports, which is interesting. But as the tool has grown and become more specific to the web industry, a lot of the features and add-ons and things that we've added are so specific to developing website architecture that it's really, I would say, mostly used by that community now. And that's, those are the people that we're trying to help.
Sure.
And so we're really focused on building features for that and not trying to make it so that it can be applied to a whole bunch of different scenarios.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, so how do you guys keep improving the tool? I feel like you guys are very open to listening to active customers, their feedback. We just talked a little bit about feedback and how you guys kind of work that internally. But I even myself have provided feedback to you guys over the last couple of years, and I felt like you guys are really great at listening and implementing. So what's the process internally for kind of taking that stuff and actually making it a real feature of the tool?
Well, yeah, like I said, we're very open to customer feedback. Obviously, we, alongside of everybody that we help, by building this application, we have a lot of things in common. Every one of us has come from that kind of similar background. So we all have kind of empathy for the client as far as like what their needs are. And honestly, some of our best features have come out of people talking about their problems. Maybe the solution that they said isn't exactly what we developed, but those are the things that you have to listen to. So we have a very good support team, first of all. So we try to respond very quickly to customers, whether it's just little bug problems or ideas they have, or just reaching out to talk to them in general. We want to make sure that we are in tune with our customers, and it's really important that we don't discredit anything anybody says. That being said, not everything makes it to production, but everything is discussed. If you have an idea or a problem with Slickplan, something where you see improvement, we're always open to that, and we will even work with a lot of the users. A lot of our users end up being beta testers and doing focus groups with us. And as we've gone throughout this, we've made a lot of friends and colleagues that we work with on a regular basis, large and small, from all corners of the earth, to help us improve the product. And it's been a very humbling experience. And we've shifted over into kind of an agile framework for our workflow with our team. And so we've got kind of like a rough internal idea board. Anything from support that comes in, we talk about it. And if it works out and it has merit, and we can see its use applied to a large amount of people, then it gets put into our internal backlog system, and our team works it out and flushes it out between our user experience designers and development stuff.
Very cool. So one particular feature that I want to talk to you about is the site crawler.
Sure.
And it's not a feature that I've used personally, but the more and more I learn about it, the more that I should probably start using it. But it sounds like a pretty powerful feature, and it seems really set up for if someone has maybe an existing website and they want to redesign it, it seems to be the perfect fit. Maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the idea kind of came about in 2013, and this again was it was just a pattern of customer suggestions. We had some people kind of ask for it exactly, and we had some people kind of ask for it indirectly. And the thing that we realized is the majority of all websites are start from somewhere else, and websites are iterative and they evolve. And like you get new businesses and brand new websites from time to time, but in my experience, the majority of all websites that we would develop and design were just redesigns, and they were just improving on the old, maybe explaining new services. The company has changed, or it just became outdated. So that was kind of where the idea was born, and what it does is it just gives people a place to start from. Sometimes seeing that blank canvas can be a little intimidating. So with the click of a button, you can either locate and upload your XML file from your Google sitemaps, or you can just simply provide a URL inside of the import tool. And what it does is it uses Node.js to go out and crawl all of that information, and the user has a lot of freedom as far as how information is pulled down and integrated into the sitemap. They can choose whether they want it to use the file name, the page title, meta text, that kind of stuff, so that the labels can all be custom. They can include links to the pages and have it include all that meta information inside our page cells, so that it's very easy to index and reference what they're redesigning and what the intended purpose of the page is. So it's been one of our most popular features, and right now it's available currently only to the unlimited plan users. And because it is pretty bandwidth intensive, especially when you get some sites. We have some government sites we've seen that are upwards of like 90,000 pages being imported. Wow. So it does need to be quick, and it does take up quite a bit of the server's memory. So it is kind of limited to that. But the the upside to having that is when you're done with it, you have a complete picture of where to start from. And, with our kind of easy to use drag and drop interface, you can kind of migrate pages, complete branches, tree sections all around until you have something that you want. And, we've always had since day one kind of a versioning system so that you can develop, different versions and iterate on your sitemap as it grows. So you can present different options and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, that's a really powerful tool, and I'm trying to help people that are watching this understand how exactly that works. So literally you can copy and paste an existing URL to a website and plug it in, and your Slickplan will generate essentially the sitemap that then you can iterate on, create notes, do everything that Slickplan is great. But that time that it saves, I mean, I've done this before in the past where if we're doing a redesign, I'm kind of like, all right, first step, let's recreate the sitemap, right, in Slickplan, and then we iterate on it. I mean, this could save potentially hours of work.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I think a lot of people, when you're doing it that way, there's a lot of room for mistake and error. Because, I mean, as sites evolved and they get kind of hodgepodge together, it's amazing how many links are missed or embedded in pages that aren't included in main navigational structures. So this really gives kind of a foolproof way to capture and crawl everything on every page. And the beautiful part about it is that our software is smart enough to understand the hierarchy of the way the site's developed. So when you import that, your top level pages will be indexed, and all of the child-parent relationships will be reflected on that sitemap for the users.
Okay, I definitely need to start using that feature. Okay, so on your guys' website, you have an Information Architecture Learning Center. Tell us a little bit about the resources that someone can find there.
Okay, so the Information Architecture Learning Center, that's primarily for people that are coming to the site that don't necessarily have a background in information architecture. What we've found over the years is that not many companies, at least small companies, have dedicated information architecture teams. Sometimes it'll just be like a developer and a couple like designers that work like a broad spectrum of all tasks. So different types of people are tasked with developing like site structures and plans coming out of the gate. And, that could be a designer, a developer, a project manager, even a sales associate sometimes, depending on, how the team's set up. So the problem that we saw, and a lot of people were asking us questions about kind of the philosophy behind information architecture and the rules. So those people didn't quite fit into the type of user that needed information on just using our tool. We have a very extensive knowledge base on how to use our software and all the different features, but we needed to create a resource that was kind of more geared towards the whys instead of the hows. So it was important for us to kind of get down to the basics and dissect information architecture in a really easy to understand format and provide our own literature that we've created to kind of explain that to the novice. And that, I think, is really helpful for people to get a good baseline understanding of how information architecture works. And then once they jump into Slickplan and they see how automated the tool is, I mean, it's amazing. Somebody with no background can come to our site. They can read a couple articles, get kind of a good understanding of, silo architecture or something like that. And after they're done, we give them the tool set to build it. They have a basic understanding of how to do it, and they can present, a very polished, professional-looking, information architecture scheme that delivers something that somebody has years of experience can do. And I mean, I think that's really the power of Slickplan right there.
Yeah, I love that you guys are committed to not only building a great tool, but then providing great resources as well to kind of help someone navigate, how they would exactly go about building the architecture of a site. So I can definitely appreciate that. That's good stuff.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about where you've been and currently where you're at. So talk to me a little bit about the future. Any cool features that you're maybe comfortable sharing that users can expect in the next 12 months?
Yes, I mean right now I'll tell you recently we've been really focused on the user interface, keeping that up to date and modern, and also site security settings and things like that. I can't reveal too much right now, but I will tell you we're working on kind of a complete website cleaning solution, and that should be slated for release within the next 2 to 3 months. And our team has been working very diligently and all hands on deck kind of situation to get this out the door. And I'm really excited to share that. And as soon as we have something up and running, you guys can stay tuned. There should be some links below on the bottom of the article to our website and all of our different social pages. So you guys can stay in touch. As soon as we have that stuff up, we're going to let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue. You kind of beat me to the punch there. So tell people how they can get a hold of you. It's slickplan.com. People have questions about the tool. I of course know that you guys have a 30-day free trial. How can people connect with you?
Well, like I said, thanks for letting everybody know. But our website is slickplan.com. And if you have any questions or anything, you can just go to our contact page, and our support staff or even myself will be back in touch with you really shortly. As far as social media pages, we're pretty active on Twitter, so we're just at Slickplan. Or on Facebook, we're facebook.com/Slickplan, and same with Google Plus and YouTube and all those different places as well. So we're pretty easy to find. So yeah, stay tuned, and I think everybody's going to like what's coming up soon.
Cool. All right, Ian, man, it's been awesome. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your time. Love your tool. I know everyone else who hasn't tried it yet is going to love it as well. Thanks for making the time. Appreciate it. And maybe we can do this again.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Eric.